Afternoon, Bison fans, and welcome to our virtual Bucknell Men's Golf Preview Show. My name is Todd Newcomb, and I'm joined today by Maisha Kelly, our Senior Associate AD for Development. And we want to take this opportunity to thank Giant for sponsoring this year's season preview series. Giant's been a great partner with Bison Athletics, and we thank them for all that they do. We've got a great lineup for you today, featuring head coach Mike Binney and three of our current golfers, Chris Tanabe, Jason Lowalter, and Blake Wisdom. Normally, we'd start out with our head coach, but today we're going to pivot a bit. We've got one of our student athletes that has to get to a class, so we're going to welcome him to our show first. And now it's time to welcome sophomore Blake Wisdom to today's show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here, Blake. So Blake is a sophomore, as I mentioned, from Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, where he attended Badger High School prior to coming to Bucknell. Blake, your home state of Wisconsin is actually a little bit of a golf hotbed with some great courses up there. Tell us about the Wisconsin golf scene and how you ended up here at Bucknell.
Yeah, so the Wisconsin golf scene has a lot of great public courses. I was very fortunate when I played high school golf to be able to play all these courses, and it definitely helped my game. And to be in a state where there are tremendous golf courses, I'm very lucky for that. How I ended up at Bucknell, I think I just ended up like wanting to go to a really good academic school, and you find a lot of those in the Northeast. And I contacted coaches, and thankfully Coach Binney gave me an offer.
Did you get a chance to visit campus before you made that decision?
Yeah, I was able to visit, I think the summer or 2 summers before I came, and I fell in love with campus as soon as I got here.
Blake, great to see you. Welcome, and thanks for spending some time here with us before you rush off to do what is certainly important in your day, and that's get to class. So I read somewhere that you were also a competitive ski racer in high school. Mm-hmm. So what's your better sport, skiing or golf?
I talk to my roommates with this all the time, but I would almost say that just because there's not as many like ski racers, I was almost better like at skiing. But now that I've been able to keep playing golf since I've been throughout high school, I think I'd definitely be a better golfer, but ski racing was like my first passion.
So Blake, you made an immediate impact here at Bucknell on the golf team with some terrific scores during your freshman year. None better than the school record tying 6 under 66 in Florida last February. Most of us don't make 8 birdies in a year, much less in one round. Tell us what that was like, and also how you adjusted to college golf from the high school and junior circuits.
Yeah, so I picked up golf late, so I was able to work really hard, and I think by my hard work, I was able to come into college golf with the same mentality and keep up the scores that I was playing in high school. So it was the same thing with that round last spring where I kept working super hard throughout the winter, using our great facility to my advantage, and I think that's why I played pretty well that round. And same thing for this year, looking forward to it. We've all been working hard, so.
Blake, even with the pandemic going on, you had a great summer. You reached Final 16 at the Wisconsin Match Play Championship, and you had a chance to play in the Monday qualifier for a PGA Tour event. Tell us about those 2 opportunities to test yourself against some really good competition.
Yeah, so unfortunately, like last year with the pandemic, we weren't able to play golf from like March to June. So as soon as I got back, I think it was like my first tournament was that match play tournament, and I played really well. I ended up losing to the guy who won the whole thing, but I didn't really do much last summer besides play golf, and I think the scores definitely showed because of that. And playing in the PGA Tour Monday qualifier was super cool because playing like a tournament and all the names up there, like a lot of them have played in tour events, and some of them have even won tour events. So to play in that tournament was very special.
So Blake, we talked about playing then and not being able to play during the summer with the pandemic. What kind of shape is your game in right now, and what will you be working on between now and the Patriot League Championship in May?
Yeah, so I was able to spend the winter in Florida over break, so I got to enjoy the weather and play a lot of golf. So I played in a couple tournaments. I played really well, and been working hard since I've been back at school. So hopefully I can take what how I was playing in the winter and let it come into the season, and hopefully we can play really well.
Like, we're going to have a chance here to hear from Chris Tanabe, but he's obviously a great player for the program. And so how much did you learn from Chris in your first year?
Mm-hmm. Chris is a huge role model for me. He's been able to teach me a lot about not only just the game in general, but I really struggle with putting, and he tells me a lot about like reading greens and gives me a lot of information that I didn't really know like before coming to Bucknell. So he's definitely been a huge part, and me enjoying my college experience first of all, and second of all, getting better as a player all around.
So Blake, the final question we have for you today shifts a little bit away from golf itself, but it's certainly about something important that you and your teammates do. And I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about the unique program that you guys have involving the fallen members of the military and just how that's impacted you personally.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the things that actually let me come to Bucknell is I was really inspired by what Coach Benny does with our Fallen Hero program. And every time I like look at my hero on my bag, I'm able to understand that golf is just a game and there's a lot more to it than that. And it's inspiring to see that a lot of people are out there dying for us, fighting for us. So very inspirational to be able to be this lucky to play golf instead of being out there like them. So great.
For those that don't really know how it works, does coach assign you each an individual, and then are you what do? You research that person? How does that work?
You have an individual, and before coming in your freshman year, you will search your player or your fallen soldier, and you will give a story based on your fallen soldier, and it means a lot to every individual on the team. I know that for sure. And it means a lot to the families that we carry on our bag.
Well, I think it's a great thing that you and your teammates do. And Blake, we certainly want to thank you for taking the time out. I know you have to get off to class. We wish you the best of luck this weekend in your first competition and throughout the spring this season.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks for being here. All right. So now it's time now to welcome in the head coach of the Bison, Mike Binney.
Hey, Todd.
Good afternoon, Coach. Thanks for joining us today. So Mike is in his 7th season at the helm of the men's golf program at Bucknell. A veteran of more than 20 years of active duty service in the United States Marine Corps, Mike has turned to a career in golf. Prior to coming to Bucknell, he spent the previous 4 years as an assistant professional at Ebensburg Country Club. And from 2010 to 2012, he was assistant men's coach at St. Francis, PA University. Mike's players here have broken the Bucknell season and career scoring average records, as well as low 18-hole rounds, and his teams have set program marks for low 18, 36, and 54-hole scores. Mike, we're going to start with you today and set the stage a little bit about your program's return to play, and Maisha has some questions for you regarding that.
Roger that. Thanks.
Mike, thanks for being here. Good to see you.
See you too.
We're going to start out really just asking the question that we've asked all of our head coaches. Again, you all know the extensive planning and preparation that went into getting, gosh, we really are our year anniversary of, right, of sort of when things changed and the different environment. But we're here and we're happy to be here. We're glad that our student athletes are getting opportunities. But from a health and safety standpoint, what are some of the daily protocols that you and your student athletes have had to abide by in order to ensure that we can continue forward and be mindful of the environment?
I feel actually kind of fortunate because golf is in and of itself a social distancing sport if you just play your game and don't get too close to the other players. So I really think that we've been affected the least amount of any of the other programs. I'll be honest with you. So we've been able to do more, play more, practice more than the other teams. both in the fall and this spring. So, we do the normal social distancing, masking when we're indoors. But as soon as we walk outside and we're more than 6 feet apart, we can be unmasked out on the golf course. That's a great thing. That's huge for us. So I feel fortunate, feel blessed that we play a sport that has not been impacted that much by COVID compared to other sports.
That's great. And certainly we have not been in this alone, and we find ourselves fortunate enough to be in a conference with peer institutions here in our footprint. And so what kinds of conversations did you have over the summer? And as we started to design a schedule for our program and eventually a Patriot League championship, but what were the discussions that you and your peers in the Patriot League had just about trying to create competition opportunities for your student athletes and what that championship also opportunity would look like?
Well, throwing the blanket, the umbrella of COVID over top of it, how could we successfully and safely conduct a season, whether it was the fall or this spring, with the umbrella of COVID? And I think if we come up with a good plan, some tournaments we're going to play internally as a team, as a fivesome, if you will. Some are going to have twosomes, like the conference championship. Some are going to have threesomes, but all with the safe guidelines of staying away from one another. So there won't be a lot of fist bumping. There won't be a lot of hugs at the end of the game. Not that we do that very often, but we just have to modify our behavior a little bit. And I think all the coaches have realized that, and we've come up with a good, sane plan to overcome it and continue to stay safe and still be able to compete and play golf. Great.
And so it's been a year. And we know that there's been sort of some of stop and goes. We've had to be, I think the key words are flexible, nimble, pivot, and all those things. And our student athletes, of course, have risen to the occasion without doubt. But and maybe perhaps to your point in golf, I mean, there's a lot of, I suspect there's a lot of retreat that gets to happen when you're on a golf course. But just your observations on physically and mentally what you've seen, and particularly in the resolve of your student athletes during this time.
I've been very amazed at how resilient they are. I be honest with you, I get down on sometimes when I think about we haven't played competitively in a year, but to a man, all 8 of the guys they're ready to go this weekend. And the great thing about the first tournament is I get to bring the entire team down to Maryland to compete. I don't always get to do that. So every one of them has been waiting for this moment for over a year now. We got suspended from play in early March of last year, and now we're in the middle of March of this year. And provided that our testing goes well today, the whole team's going to be on a bus on Friday morning heading down to Maryland to play.
Looks like technology and Zoom.
I think there's going to be a huge sense of relief when that event happens, when we're standing on the golf course down.
Having some difficulties hearing you here, Mike.
Hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me.
You're frozen, but we can hear you.
Yeah, maybe if you go no camera. Sometimes that works.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to stop the video.
Or is that up to you, Todd?
All right. And
Yeah, we've got not a very good connection there with you, Mike. Maybe Mike should log out and try and come back in and start fresh.
And we can pivot however we're.
Let's do that. We've done it once, we can do it again.
Here we go.
All right, so let's ask our student athletes to join us now. We'll have Chris and Jason jump on. Hopefully you guys have a better connection than Coach.
Hopefully.
So, yeah.
All right, let's get myself into where I am to introduce you. All right, here we go. Now I got my script right. All right, so Chris, we're going to start with you. So we want to welcome Chris Tanabe, who's a senior, and he hails from Sewickley, Pennsylvania, and attended Quaker Valley High School, where he won a PIAA state championship prior to arriving at Bucknell. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about your recruiting story and how you wound up playing golf for the Bison.
So in high school, I got a late start in golf. I'll say that. My brother, he played in high school, and I had plans of playing college soccer or baseball. And then I finally got to high school and started playing in the fall, and I loved it. So I really didn't get into golf that serious until my sophomore, junior year. And I mean, kids are already committing by then to the big schools and that have talent. So I got a good list of schools that I was talking to, and Bucknell came up, and I came on a visit on the way to a tournament out in Philly on the other side of the state. So I stopped in, met with Coach Binney, took a tour of the campus, and I loved it. And obviously the facilities are top notch, some of the best in the Northeast. So honestly, Bucknell was my only offer. So I was very, very grateful for Coach Binney for giving me that offer. I couldn't imagine being anywhere else right now, honestly.
Well, everybody else lost out. We won in that case.
Thank you.
Chris, great to see you. Thanks so much for spending some time here with us this afternoon. So you have three brothers that all play golf, and you and actually your older brother, Alex, were high school teammates for a couple of years. Just how competitive is the Tanabe family when it comes to golf?
Oh my, it's unbelievable. Like family vacations are competitive. We could be going out for 18 holes just for fun, and you see who beat who, what was your score in front nine, stuff like that. I mean, even not just golf. I mean, we all played baseball, we all played soccer a little bit. So, I mean, everything to us is competitive. It's just, we just feel each other's fire.
That's great.
So Chris, obviously you made an immediate impact when you got here to Bucknell, but can you tell us how you think your game has evolved over the time that you've been here?
It's maturity. That's honestly all I could say. And definitely some confidence. Freshman year and sophomore year, even, I played all right. I played well enough. I was able to start and contribute, but I just didn't have the tools I have now, and most of it's mental. I learned a lot. It was a very upperclassman heavy team when I was a freshman and sophomore, so I learned a lot from those guys, and just learning to control my emotions, to stay focused, and then once I started playing well, the confidence started growing, and I just saw more and more success.
Chris, the summer following your sophomore year, you went abroad to Spain and then came back to the States and won the Pennsylvania Amateur at Aronimink, thanks in large part to an incredible 28 on the front nine in your second round. Had to pause there for that. How did that feel to win such a prestigious tournament on a historic course, and how much confidence did that give you going into your junior year?
It was a ton of confidence. I was coming in off a month abroad, and then I had 2 weeks to get ready for the state am, and that's arguably one of the biggest tournaments I'll play in the summer. So I came in with very little expectations and ended up winning it, which was amazing. Just the list of names that are on that trophy is unbelievable. And to do it at a place like Aronimink, there's so much history there. And I mean, just honestly surprised, and even looking back at it now, sort of surprised I did win it.
So the last time you guys were actually able to compete, you had a great fall season with 4 top 10s and another victory at Dartmouth. And then in the spring, you had just shot 5 under par over 54 holes in Arizona. Would you say you were playing the best golf of your career at that point? And how disappointing was it not being able to finish that season?
I was absolutely playing the best golf of my life at that point. It was heartbreaking, especially for our senior Peter Bradbeer to see his senior year end like that. But it was obviously disappointing. I mean, the team and myself, we all expected to have a very good run at Patriot League title, even winning some tournaments in the spring, given how we played in the fall. So, I mean, we're all let down. I was let down. Just a chance to be able to win conference and maybe even go on to regionals and maybe even the finals. It's just something you don't get that many opportunities for.
This year's team seems to have as much talent from top to bottom as any team has had. So with that, what do you think it will take to win a league championship this first weekend in May in 2021?
Looking back at last fall, we had the 3 runner-up finishes as a team. And I think we just have to adopt a mindset of being better than every team, not just on that one day and just coming up short, but being better than them every day in the weight room, at practice, in class, just doing what it takes to make yourself better. And then also the team, and that'll translate. Doing small things will make the big things happen, stuff like that. Yep.
So Chris, obviously we all hope you have a lot left still to accomplish here this spring, but have you thought about postgraduate plans yet? What you might do after Bucknell?
I just recently got accepted to the University of Maryland to pursue a master's in business management. So I'll be going there for 1 year, and I'll be playing at Maryland for 1 year too.
Well, that's tremendous. And that's a little sigh of relief. You don't have to worry about what you're doing next year at this point. It's great.
Right.
Congratulations on that.
Thanks.
And thanks a lot for taking the time to be with us today, and good luck this weekend. I know you're excited to get back out on the course and bring home that Patriot League championship in May.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
All right. So our next player is junior Jason Lowater, who's from Rochester, New York, where he attended Brighton High School before coming to Bucknell. Welcome, Jason. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Can you share your recruiting story with the audience and how you ultimately wound up here?
Yeah, for sure. I also came to golf pretty late. I only started taking it seriously in like maybe 8th or 9th grade, and I only got fairly good at the game my like sophomore or junior year. I used to play baseball for a really long time, but yeah, I was looking for a good academic school with a good program. Hopefully not too close to home, hopefully not too far from home. And Bucknell is about 3 hours from Rochester and south, which was nice. Not too far south, but I think it's been a little warmer. And I really liked the coach and everything that the school had to offer academically and athletically. So it was just a really good fit. And I was really happy to get a call from coach giving me an offer.
Jason, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for being here with us this afternoon. So my question is, as you kind of went down memory lane of how you got here, what would you say were some of the biggest adjustments you had to make to the college level when it came to your golf game?
Yeah, when you're at home, you get to see your coach a lot, your swing coach. And then coming to school, you're going, a couple months without going back home. So it's hard you got to kind of figure out your own game. You can't really just rely on someone else to tell you what you're doing and what you need to be doing. So kind of making that adjustment and really learning more about my own game as a player and trying to figure out how to balance that in school at the same time was definitely an adjustment.
Jason, you had a really terrific sophomore season with an average of right around 74, and you played really well in Arizona right before the shutdown. What do you think was working so well for your game at that point?
I think being able to go to Florida the week before, although I didn't play my best there, I think that was a really good experience. And I know coach wanted us to get out early, shake all the rust off early in the year, so we'd be absolutely ready by the time our biggest tournament of the year comes around. I think playing in Florida was good, and being able to practice down there was good. And I really liked the course in Arizona. Honestly, it was a really fun place to play, and the weather was nice, and it was a good time down there. So, when you're having fun, you usually play better.
How much golf did you get to play last summer and this fall? And what kind of shape is your game in?
Yeah, I got to play a lot. I did not get to play in a lot of tournaments, though. I think probably the best my game has ever been was last summer, but I really didn't get to play too many events to show anybody that. Last fall, golf was not at the forefront of my mind, just because we didn't have any tournaments, and I wanted to take care of the academic side. But I'm really, really looking forward to playing this spring, and It's unreal to me that we're leaving in 2 days to go play a tournament. It's just, I know if it would, like, not to be dramatic, but I wasn't sure when it would happen again or if it would happen again.
Jason, I'm going to ask you to put your best coach hat on at this point and give us the scouting report on the sophomore class. They had a pretty big impact last year as freshmen. What can you tell us about the sophomores?
Yeah, the sophomores they're all really good players, and they all have a lot to offer the program. I mean, Blake has the ability to go really low on any day. He's great. Jack's pretty steady, and Jack will go low too. He had a really solid sophomore year. Jackson was on the border of between starting lineup and being our indie spot his sophomore year, but he had a really good tournament in Arizona. And I think he played pretty well last summer. And then Josh actually had a really steady fall when we played our tournaments in the fall. He didn't have any crazy low rounds, but he didn't have any high rounds either. And it's really good to have that kind of consistency. So it's exciting to see all four of them have such great potential.
Who's the long ball hitter in that group?
Out of those four, Jackson. Absolutely.
How about on the team? Who's the long ball hitter on the team?
Oh, I don't know. I think me and Jackson put it out there. We tease Blake, but Jack hits it out there too.
Yeah. Right.
So, Jason, what are your team and individual goals for the rest of the spring?
Just win. Try to win everything. If you're not trying to win, then you're not trying. I mean, that's really where it is. I mean, there's a sense of reality too. It's like I haven't played a tournament since last summer, so maybe some competitive rust will be there this weekend or next weekend, but we're playing these tournaments for a reason. We're trying to shake off that rust and be ready for our conference championship when the time comes. So it's all an effort to be ready for that tournament, and obviously trying to do your best at every step between then and now.
I love that focus you have. I hope you and your team keep that right through the Patriot League championships. I wanted to talk a little bit about your major at Bucknell. You're a mathematical economics major, which is not a very common major. Tell us a little bit more about your studies and what you hope to do with that down the road.
Yeah, math econ. It just, I don't know. I got placed into a math class freshman year, and I wanted to take an econ class, and I liked them both, and I like to think I'm pretty good at both of them. So I just kept taking the classes and sort of fell into the major naturally. But yeah, I really like the applications and how useful they can be. I'm not going to get too technical, although I absolutely could. But I think some sports analytics down the road could be in my future. We'll see. I have some ideas about some ways that things I've learned could be implemented in baseball for optimization problems and things like that. I'm also interested in golf research and kind of doing things in that way too. But I am also very interested to see what I can do with my golf game moving forward. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that.
Well, we're definitely not going to push you out the door because you've got another year and a half here at Bucknell. So we want to make sure you get the most out of all that, and appreciate you taking the time today, Jason, and wish you the best of luck this weekend. Enjoy it, soak it all in, and good luck this spring.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
All right. We're going to try and get Coach Binney back on here and see if we got a little bit of a better connection.
I'm back.
All right, Mike, let's try it again. I'm gonna pick up Maisha with my first question with Coach.
Yep.
Mike, before we get into discussing your team a little bit, I want to talk about the state of golf in general. As you mentioned, in a pandemic, golf is one of those sports that you can play socially distanced. And the Bucknell Golf Club set a record for the number of tee times last year. Do you think that in a weird way, the pandemic has brought a resurgence to the game of golf?
I do, just for the fact of what you just said about that story of record rounds at Bucknell Golf Club is repeated at just about every municipal course and private and public course around the country and around the world, to be quite honest. what are people going to do? They want to get out of the house. They want to be able to distance, and golf is just such a natural activity to do that. So yeah, on the public side, it's really had a resurgence for the game. The only downside to it for my guys, the team, was that they couldn't play in quite as many tournaments as they may have wanted to over the summertime, but they certainly didn't lack the opportunity to play, and they all played a lot. So in a weird sort of way, I think we're more than ready to get back into it.
So, Coach, in a normal season, you would have also had a busy tournament schedule. So, it's just separate from actually getting out there and playing. But so what were the things that you were able to do with the team, not only to improve their games, but to keep those competitive juices flowing?
Well, interesting enough, and I have to give credit to the registrar's office for deciding to start classes on the 1st of February instead of the middle of January, because normally they would come back mid-January and we'd have about 6 weeks to practice indoors before we get out the door, or at least a month. All of these guys, and I had to jot it down, I had 5 players that were either living in, playing in, or were able to get to Florida over winter break, 1 in Tennessee, 1 in Alabama, only 1 player, and that was Jason you had on, who wasn't able to get south during the winter. So they had an extra long break, and they spent it playing golf. So when they came back on February 1st instead of mid-January, my time frame to our first tournament is that much shorter. So in a weird sort of way, they were able to prepare themselves, and outside of what we've been able to do inside the Bachman Center over the last month and a half.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about the guys now for a few minutes. We already heard from your lone senior, Chris Tanabe, and certainly one of the best to have ever played here at Bucknell. Talk about him as a person and as a player, and what makes him so good.
Chris I think his natural ability is he doesn't get fazed by the bad things that happen on a golf course. And that is an innate ability that not every golfer has. Not even every pro has it. And the pros that do have it, they're able to just, I use the expression water off a duck's back. If something bad happens, a bad shot, a bad break, you kind of accept it and move on because there's nothing you can do about it. And he has an innate ability to do that without getting flustered, without getting mad. When Chris taps the club head to the ground, I know he's really upset. That's the most reaction I'll get out of him on the golf course. He's a self-starter. He's self-disciplined. He doesn't require much coaching, if any at all, on the golf course. He's just completely focused on what he wants to do, and that's make birdies and win the golf tournament. So that's his natural ability. And I think those individuals, those types of individuals, have the best chance of playing competitively at the highest level, including professionally.
All right, Coach, hopefully we're keeping you here and can stay connected. But let's keep working our way down. And so Jason Lowater and Dylan Ford are the 2 juniors. Tell us about their games.
Jason, you can tell on the video, he's 6'5", so his swing is so natural and so easy, and he hits the ball, a country mile. But to be honest with you, Dylan does too. They're both very, very long hitters, and that's the strength of their game. Dylan had a little trouble last year with direction control, but he has found his game again, and I really have high hopes for both he and Jason this spring moving forward. So both solid kids, both very, very smart, probably the 2 of the smartest kids on a team of very, very smart people. 2 of the highest grade point averages. So they're super kids, both in the classroom and on the golf course. Can't say enough about them.
So we had Jason talk a little bit about the sophomores. Let's get your take on that group. They made a pretty big impact as freshmen last year.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to get those 4 to replace the 4 that had graduated. And if you remember, JP, Jubal, Ashton, and Connor graduated, and I need to replace that super crew of my first recruiting class with 4 kids that were as equal, if not better. And I really think that they have answered the call. And I was very impressed with how they did as freshmen. Disappointed that we couldn't play their sophomore fall season, but they're going to be the core of this team moving forward. for the next several years, and I couldn't be happier with them. They all have different personalities, but they mesh so well together, to the fact that they live together freshman year and they're living together against sophomores. That's a kind of a testament to how tight they are, and they're going to carry that tightness onto the golf course and into the team culture. So very excited about the team moving forward with all four.
All right, I'm going to ask this question, Coach, in the hopes that you do hear, because we certainly don't want to leave out the newcomer in Max Orwitz from New Canaan, Connecticut. So can you give us
that, Todd?
What's that, Mike?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, so as I was saying, I didn't want to leave out the one newcomer in Max Orwitz from New Canaan, Connecticut. So can you just share a little bit about what you expect from Max over the next 4 years?
Yep, it's always tough for a freshman to come in without a recruiting teammate, another person. And, Max replaced Peter, who was a very difficult person to replace. Peter was a phenomenal player, phenomenal person to the program. And Max has got the great attitude. He's laid back, much like Chris in sort of way. He doesn't let things get him down. He's got a great attitude. He takes a lot of ribbing from the sophomores just because they're so close in age, and Max is going to do very, very well, and I'm excited to see what he can do on the golf course, because he's been waiting the longest of anybody on the team to compete, because he literally has not played in a college golf tournament yet. So excited.
All right, Mike, we've got one final question for you today, and it's about this weekend. So you open up the season at the Carpetbagger Classic in Maryland. What do you know about the Worthington Manor course, and what do you hope to get out of this weekend's competition?
So the genesis of the Carpetbagger was myself, the Colgate and Binghamton coach. We wanted to dream up a tournament where we could bring everybody on our team. And the name of the Carpetbagger was just a bunch of northern guys coming down south to play. And that's kind of a throwback to what happened during Reconstruction after the Civil War. And it was like, okay, let's have the North, go down south and play golf and get our game on. And the Worthington Manor is a great venue. It hosts a number of USGA sectional and local qualifiers. It hosts many of the Maryland championship events, whether it's junior, senior, or regular professional or amateur events. So it's perfect. I've caddied there before for a friend of mine, actually Nick, who I work for at St. Francis. I caddied for him in a U.S. Open local qualifier. So I know the course, and it's a perfect test this early in the season. They've been open for well over a month now, as compared to Bucknell, which just opened last week. They've been open there, and it's in that much better shape than we're doing up here. So I'm excited. The guys are excited, and it's gonna be a good weekend.
Well, Mike, we want to wish you and the team the best of luck. We're excited for you guys. I know it's been a long year, and I can't even imagine what you guys are feeling as you get out there this coming weekend. So good luck this weekend. Good luck at Patriots, and thanks again for being here today.
Thanks, Todd. Thanks, Maisha.
Thanks.
All right, so a special thanks to all of our guests today. We certainly appreciate their time, and that's going to wrap up today's show. I want to thank Jeffrey Campbell, John Terry, and Jess O'Shaughnessy for all their help. And of course, today was our last season preview show, so we want to thank Giant for sponsoring this year's series. We appreciate all that they did and allowing us to highlight some of our student athletes here at Bucknell and talk about their programs as they get to kick off their competition here in the spring. Everybody have a great day. Thanks for joining, and go Bison.